Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the battle of what I call as a diplomatic battle that is going to be taking place. And the issue really is that the Indian government has announced that it's going to send several delegates. It's going to send seven delegations to the rest of the world to essentially promote India's point of view and make everybody understand at least seven times five, roughly, at least 30, 35 countries understand what India's point of view really is with regards to what happened in Pahalgam, what happened in Operation Sindoor, and to explain India's position on these issues. So from uh, uh, there are some outstanding issues which are kind of uh, jumping out here. One is this whole business of Shashi Tharoor being appointed and the Congress objecting to it. So there is a controversy going on about it. Pakistan has also announced that it's going to send out a peace delegation. Uh, I mean, it's sending the peace delegation out to the rest of the world, but it needs to make peace with India. So, if at all there was a peace delegation that needed to be sent, it should have been sent to India. But nevertheless, the Indian media is having a ball of a time trying to say that the Pakistani delegation is copy pasting Indian diplomatic strategies, and whatever India is doing, they are also trying to do. So that is all right. I will talk about it. So for those of you who are watching this, who prefer to listen to the Hindi version of this, I want to let you know that once I'm done here, I'll speak for about 15 minutes about the delegations, the composition of the delegations. So, who's coming and representing India? Who will be representing Pakistan? What will India's narrative be? Which countries India is visiting? And what will be Pakistan's narrative? And so, what is at stake in this diplomatic battle? And there are some very interesting things about the Indian delegation. It's an all party delegation. I will reflect on some of the members who are part of the various things. But after this is over here, I will then go to my Indian channel and speak in Hindi about this same issue. It'll be probably around 1:45 uh, my time. So about 45 minutes from here. So I intend to speak for about 15, 20 minutes and then take question and answers from you. Super chat, super thanks are very welcome. So don't hesitate and don't be shy. I also want to let you know that most of the sources are yet not clear about the Indian delegation, but the missions are supposedly starting sometime in this month itself. So we will go with that. So so what I'm going to do first is going to show you, if I can, the Indian delegation, if possible, and then okay, here it is. Indian government, if you are watching this, uh, has appointed these people to represent India in the delegation. I want to see if you are able to see it. It looks like you can see it. All right. So I'm going away to the PowerPoint so I can see a bigger version of this. So so this is the delegation. So there are basically seven leaders that have been chosen by the Indian government. So there are seven groups. The first group is going to mostly the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Algeria. I'm surprised that Oman and Qatar are not part of this. The second group is mostly Northern Europe, UK, France, Germany, European Union, Italy, Denmark. This is a very important group because there are four G7 countries in Group 2: UK, France, Germany, and Italy. This will be led by Ravi Shankar Prasad, and it includes two Muslims, Ghulam Ali Qattani and MJ Akbar. What is remarkable about these delegations is the enormous presence of Muslims in nearly every group. So if you look at the Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Algeria group, Asaduddin Owaisi, the MP from Hyderabad, is part of it, and the former Congress person, the Kashmiri MP, was a very important leader in the Congress party until recently. Ghulam Nabi Azad is also part of the first group. And if you look at the group three, it's Indonesia, Malaysia, Republic of Korea, Japan, Singapore. These are the top Asian economies. There is no delegation to China. I don't know why India is excluding China. If you want to do diplomacy, you do diplomacy with your enemies first and then with your friends. But anyway, so there is no delegation going to China. The group four, Salman Khurshid, the prominent Congress leader who was formerly also the state minister for foreign affairs under Congress, is part of this delegation. So is Yusuf Pathan, the cricketer from Gujarat. And then they have a delegation going to United Arab Emirates. And it goes to Liberia, Congo, Sierra Leone. I really don't understand what's the point of this. I met Ambassador Sujan Chinoy when I was in Delhi last time. He's a wonderful person and a great diplomat. And I was happy to meet with him. And that delegation also has Muhammad Bashir, another Muslim representation. This is actually a master stroke by the Indian government to include Muslims who will be there talking, I suppose, very strongly about Pakistan's role in cross border terrorism. Uh, and the group five is the critical group. Which goes to United States, but there's Panama, Guyana, Colombia. I don't think these are really countries that need to be persuaded. Why not Canada? If you're coming here, why not go to Canada and Mexico? These are more important countries, more influential countries. But anyway, there's the United States, and this group is led by Shashi Tharoor. It has a Rajya Sabha member called Sarfraz Ahmed. I don't know much about him, but it also has a former Indian ambassador, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, in part of it, and there are some important names. I guess Mr. Milind Murli Diora is an important politician. And then there is one to Central Europe and Southern Europe with Russia involved, uh, and uh, and then Egypt, Qatar, Ethiopia, and South Africa. And then this group is led by Supriya Sule, but also includes Ambassador Syed Akbaruddin. And those of you who follow Khanversations, you know that Ambassador Syed Akbaruddin, who represented India so magnificently during his tenure as India's permanent representative to the United Nations, he was also on Khanversations talking about India and global governance. So this is the Indian, shall we say, the delegation. So there are seven groups with seven leaders who are going there. I'm quite happy that Asaduddin Owaisi also, who has been very, very vocal, very critical of Pakistan, and in fact, he also kind of uh, humiliated Pakistan in many ways. One of his important and funny comments was that India's defense budget is more than Pakistan's entire federal budget. So these kind of diplomats, they are going to all these countries, about 35 countries in the world. The only countries that I thought were missing were Canada and China. These are both very important countries. Canada is a G7 country, but as you can see that all the other six G7 countries are covered. Uh, Pakistan just announced, that what is his name, Bilawal Bhutto, will also lead a delegation. I was looking at the Dawn newspaper. They made an announcement. In fact, the announcement actually came from Bhutto himself, saying that Shehbaz Sharif had nominated him to lead a Pakistani delegation. But there is no mention of who else is part of the delegation and how many countries they are going to visit. Is it going to be just one delegation, or there are going to be many delegations? It's nothing very clear, which tells you that I think the Pakistani announcement is just a copycat or a reaction or a response to the Indian effort to convince the world of their point of view. So let's forget about Pakistan and whatever it wishes to achieve in this delegation. Bilawal Bhutto is going to have a lot of problem meeting prominent people, even if they fly into the US and UK. and other important countries. So it'll be very difficult to. It'll be interesting to see who actually meets with these people in those capitals. But I have some comments about the Indian delegation. So, in one sense, it is a good exercise for domestic politics to make this an all party issue and to suggest to the Indian population that the country is united in the posture that it is taking. And more importantly, what has come out very clearly from during the Operation Sindoor is that India's diplomacy was not as effective as we thought. Because in a moment of crisis, while Pakistan did get a lot of support from China and Turkey and Azerbaijan to the extent that India is now boycotting trade relations and tourism to Turkey and Azerbaijan, no country stood up with India as firmly and as strongly, as decisively as China and Turkey did for Pakistan. And on top of that, India's so called comprehensive strategic partners, all the way from the United States to European Union and including Japan and the Quad, basically treated India and Pakistan on the same level. So that was also, I think, a problematic thing for India. And then, of course, the most decisive indication of the failure of Indian diplomacy was the IMF vote on May 9th, where IMF voted to give two loans to Pakistan during the crisis. One was for $1 billion and one was for $1.4 billion, in which only India abstained, and every other country, including France and the United States and others, including Russia, all voted to give the loan to Pakistan. So that is a challenge. And I think this exercise that India is now doing of sending diplomats, they should have sent this before Operation Sindoor. And I think India would have got more support if they had gone to the world and told them, look, this is what a huge terrorist act has happened in Pahalgam, killed 26 civilians, one of them from Nepal, 25 Indians. It was done in a very brutal and inhuman fashion. It was also done in a polarizing fashion because religion was invoked while identifying targets and so on and so forth. So India should have then showed what evidence they had to link Pakistan to the Pahalgam Act, and then they should have performed Operation Sindoor. I can tell you that India would have got a lot more support because most of the world is sick of terrorism. And if you notice, everybody condemned terrorism, but they did not link Pakistan to Pahalgam in their condemnation. So that is a diplomatic failure that India was not able to isolate Pakistan and did not get a standing ovation from the rest of the world for performing Operation Sindoor. And then subsequently, this whole issue that Pakistan did very well in the military encounter, shooting down two or three of India's fighter jets, and except Indian media. The Indian media is one place, and the rest of the world is in one place. The rest of the world is talking about how well Chinese technology performed during the Operation Sindoor, and how two Rafales, or maybe one Rafale and one MiG, were shot down, and how the PL-15, the missile, performed, etc. But the Indian media is talking about how Karachi was burned, how there was a coup against Asim Munir, and how Shehbaz Sharif was hiding in a bunker. Like the Indian media talks about something totally weird while the whole world is talking. So it's very important that this delegation go out there and not only try to tell the world what India's point of view is, but also come back with the feedback from the world to get a sense of where India is, because India's media is its enemy. And the Indian public have gone totally mad. Most people who are hyper nationalists, they have gone absolutely crazy. They will come here and say absolutely stupid things like, we don't care what the world says, we don't care what Washington Post says, or New York Times says, or the Economist says. Well, if you don't care about what the world thinks, then why are you sending this whole delegations all over the world? Why are you interested in what Sierra Leone in Africa thinks about India? Why you are sending a delegation to Ethiopia? Why are you sending a delegation to small countries in the world who don't have much influence if you don't care how the world thinks about you? So the Indian population, who are generally supporters of Modi, are quite idiotic in their rejection of the world because they know the world's media has been quite critical. But fortunately, the government is not stupid, and they understand the importance of convincing the world about India's victimhood, as to how India has suffered from Pakistani cross border terrorism for 40 years, and how the Pahalgam happened, what role did Pakistan play in Pahalgam, and so on and so forth. One of the best representatives of the Indian point of view was India's High Commissioner to Great Britain. So look at his interview on Sky News, and he did an incredibly great job of not only linking Pakistan to Pahalgam, but also making the point very clear that India was not just launching a military adventure for the sake of it. And so Operation Sindoor, which was a restrained and very calibrated and very carefully conducted operation, was essentially designed to send the message to Pakistan that things like Pahalgam are not acceptable anymore. So there is a new normal that has definitely been set up, regardless of how many planes Pakistan shot. Operation Sindoor has set up a new normal, a new standard, saying that India will retaliate deep into Pakistan. In fact, India did three things. The first round was targeting what it called as the terrorist infrastructure. The second were shots in which the Lahore airport's uh, radar system was destroyed. But the third uh, attack that India indulged in were on six air bases, including Nur Khan base and Sargodha, where F-16s are parked, and Nur Khan base, which is essentially very close to the Pakistani nuclear hub, which some people say is what triggered a more aggressive U.S. role in the creation of the ceasefire. So there is a lot of this that India needs to explain to the world, but India also has to recognize this. Now, I want to ask you the question: is so why is Dr. Jaishankar not leading this? Because regardless of how important Shashi Tharoor may be, etc., I don't think Shashi Tharoor will be seen when he comes to the US with the US delegation. I don't think he's going to be seen by Donald Trump or even Marco Rubio. The best that these delegations can expect to achieve is to meet their parliamentarians, opposite numbers from the US Congress. Maybe the Indian lobby here in the US can move, and they should move and press people from the US Senate and the US Congress to go ahead and meet with this delegation. Uh, Maybe Shashi Tharoor and his team should have a public meeting here, a kind of a town hall meeting. If Mr. Shashi Tharoor and his team wants help, I volunteer to provide a venue where they can hold their press conference. I'll provide it all for free. I will even provide dinner for all people who come there. So I'm willing to host a press conference or a town hall meeting by the Indian delegation right here in Washington, D.C., within 5 miles of the White House and the US Congress. I'm a fellow at the New Lines Institute's Ibn Khaldun Center, and we will be very happy to host this dialogue for. Shashi Tharoor has my email address, and his secretary also has my WhatsApp number. You're welcome to contact me uh, uh, if you want some help in organizing. I'm sure the Indian government and the Indian embassy itself in DC is very influential. They can reach out to the Hudson Institute or CSIS, maybe even Brookings Institute. There are lots of very prominent Indian Americans who are in various think tanks. And so maybe at a think tank, India should host a major event and have a discussion about India's point of view. Uh, but let's also look at the what is happening in the Indian domestic politics, because apparently the Congress party gave four names. They received a phone call. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the Congress party and leader of the opposition, received a phone call from the person in charge of the parliamentarians of the BJP, and he asked for names. Congress gave four names. None of the Congressies who are part of this delegation were the names that Rahul Gandhi gave. So they are very upset that the BJP selected people that may that the Congress had not. So there is a small like dispute going on. But I think the selection of Salman Khurshid and Shashi Tharoor is really good. Both of them are very smart, very articulate. They speak very well. They know this arena. Shashi Tharoor worked for the United Nations and understand global politics very well. And so does Salman Khurshid. I met Salman Khurshid very briefly in Hyderabad just less than 20 days ago when I was in Hyderabad for the Bharat Summit, and I was very impressed with some of his comments and his remarks about world politics. So I think that some of the people who have been selected are very good and will give a good impression of India when they meet with the rest of the countries. So India is making an effort to win back not only the global south but also the G7 minus Canada. So I wish India all the best. So let's talk a little bit about what the narrative and what the content of their discussion will be. I'll try to do this in 5 minutes, and then I will be happy to take your questions and comments. I will take the super chats first, and then I'll talk to the rest of you. So this is what I think will be India's narrative. India is going to basically talk about how India has been suffering by cross border terrorism as a result of Pakistan's efforts to destabilize Kashmir and support the insurgency in Kashmir and even instigate terrorism in Kashmir for the last 40 years. India will remind the world about what happened in Balakot and before that, and India will also talk about, especially, what happened in Mumbai where Kasab and his gang brutally killed over 160 Indians and terrorized the city for several days. So in fact, if they're not planning to say this, please say these things. Make it a part of your presentation, because not everybody in the government of all these countries may be familiar with the history of cross-border terrorism in South Asia. So let them know about that, and then talk about how India has tried its very best to end cross-border terrorism, etc. So for India, the issues that India will talk about is Pakistani support for terrorism in India, Pakistani support to breeding and allowing terrorists to openly build infrastructures in Pakistan. They will also talk about the various destabilizing efforts taken happening internationally also by Pakistan. They will also raise the issue of, I guess, POK, and talk about how Pakistan has been illegally occupying POK since 1948-49, and so they would like to open a discussion of Pakistan's withdrawal from POK. This will be a diplomatically aggressive move, forcing Pakistan to bat on the back foot. I think what Pakistan is going to do is their narrative is very easy to guess. If you just go back to any and every speech given by every prime minister of Pakistan at the United Nations, you will get the gist of the thing. They will talk about how they provide moral and humanitarian support and diplomatic support to the Kashmiris who are fighting for independence and dignity. They will talk about India's brutal occupation of Kashmir. And then there are two new things that Pakistan will also add. One is that India is involved in the supporting terrorism and insurrection in Balochistan. And they will probably talk about and say that they have evidence that India was involved in the Jafar Express attack. And they will also accuse India of not providing any evidence to the Pakistani connection to Pahalgam, and India attacked Pakistan and violated its territorial integrity. So what India did was violated the United Nations Charter and basically invaded Pakistan. So this is what Pakistan is going to say. But bringing up the Balochistan thing can be tricky for the Pakistanis, because for example, if I was sitting there and they were making this presentation and they would say that, look, India is supporting Balochistan's liberation movement, its insurrectionists, and the terrorism that Baloch are committing in Pakistan. And then the immediate question would be, so is your support for terrorists in Kashmir a retaliation? So is Pahalgam a retaliation to what happened to Jafar Express? And there Pakistan could get trapped in acknowledging that it was connected to Pahalgam. So bringing up Balochistan, um, I don't know how they will phrase that. And will the diplomats of other countries ask serious and tough questions of the Pakistani delegation and the Indian delegation too? That remains to be seen. I have never been privy to these kind of dialogues, so I cannot tell you how tough diplomats from Africa or East Asia are. I have engaged with diplomats from ASEAN a couple of times in Indonesia and Malaysia, and they're not as direct as Americans are. They talk in roundabout way and with hints and suggestions. So basically, they will receive these delegations with all diplomatic protocols, and they will listen to it. Now, it remains whether India has a persuasive narrative or not. But what Narendra Modi is at least trying to commit to the domestic population is that most of the country is united. And so, if there was some flaws and weaknesses in Operation Sindoor, etc., then everybody else will also have to share the blame, not just Modi and his party. So, I think this is what I wanted to share with you about this development. It is very interesting. And I want to see what Yusuf Pathan does on these delegates. Does he keep quiet or does he speak or is he just there for the ride? But nevertheless, the point is that BJP did not select some of its prominent leaders like Adityanath Yogi and all the gundas that are part of the BJP. They are not being exposed to the international community. I think as soon as they meet Adityanath Yogi, I think India's entire narrative will go down the drain. So it's a good thing that the BJP is acknowledging that it needs talent from other parties to represent India. But the question remains: is there also a suggestion that they're not very happy with the messaging that Dr. Jaishankar has been doing, and therefore it's not just the Indian uh, uh, MEA that is carrying this message, but also people who have been more articulate. And Shashi Tharoor was very, very good in articulating the BJP's point of view. If you go and look at his interview with Karan Thapar and other interviews that he gave, even on Satya Hindi with Ashutosh, where he was making he spoke more eloquently and more persuasively than any leader of the BJP while explaining the BJP's point of view. So I don't blame them for selecting Shashi Tharoor to go to the most important country in the world, which is the United States. So anyway, so I will see what comments that you have, and here I am. Okay, Dost, your Walaikum Salam from Pakistan. Oh my God, so you were the first. Is there any use doing this? It's all geopolitical game. Everyone's looking at their benefits. No, there might be people in certain developing countries, Prakash, who may have no idea about the history of this and the geopolitical implications of this. So one thing that happens is when you make these presentations, I think India will also provide dossiers with details. So next time when these people get a chance to speak on this issue, they might use the language that India provided in these dossiers. So, like for example, maybe some countries don't want to use the word cross-border terrorism, or it hasn't occurred them that this is how we need to talk about what happened in Pahalgam. So they may use India's language if India is very persuasive. This is what think tanks and lobbyists do in Washington. They provide a narrative to this. So it is important that they be exposed to the Indian narrative. Uh, Yes, Prakash, I think it is a good list myself. Ali Naqvi, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. I love watching your top class analysis. Thank you, Naqvi Saab. Shoaib, salam, adab. Salam to you too. Oh, Naqvi Saab, I live in New York and New Delhi. Lucky you. Just don't spend your winters in Delhi. The pollution is very high. Spend your summers in Delhi, even though it will be very hot. Uh, Canada is never pro India for obvious reasons. Not necessarily. The pro Khalistan party lost. Jagmeet Singh is not in the parliament anymore. There is a new prime minister in Canada. So it is an opportunity for India to go and make their case to the Canadians. India has a large diaspora in Canada. When I teach South Asia, I also teach Canada. So I teach all the 8 countries of South Asia. Then I have the 9th country, Canada, because of the huge presence of Desis in Canada. It's like a South Asian country. Uh, India Red Bull. I think Shashi Tharoor will soon join BJP. Yeah, he is frustrated. He wants to be the prime minister. He wants to have a higher role. Maybe he would have been happy with the foreign minister's position, but Congress is not winning anything at the national level. So he's thinking, I'm getting old. I will just be. Maybe he wants to be the chief minister of Kerala. I don't know what he wants politically, but I'm not sure that BJP is going to make him the foreign minister. They're going to keep Jai Shankar indefinitely. So what is he going to get if he goes to the BJP? I'm not very sure. But if I was a BJP member and this guy switched parties, I would trust him less. Right now, I would respect Shashi Tharoor more if he stayed true to his party, but was pro-national. I mean, like in the interest of the national, say that I'm supporting this delegation because this is good for India, as he has done. Uh, oh, permanent solution, Tahir Hassan, it's very difficult. I talked about it last time. It's not that easy to to say, yeah. This is very difficult situation because I'm very democratic in my approach. So I would have suggested that we start with the people of Kashmir themselves and see what their opinion is by doing a public opinion poll. And I think if India invests more in Kashmir, restores its statehood, and gives Kashmir cultural autonomy, and does not bring people from outside Kashmir to settle in Kashmir, the Kashmiris will choose India every time. Uh, yes, Azadi, that's what I was saying. If you send Yogi to imagine Yogi coming to Washington, D.C., oh my God. Naveed Akhtar, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I did not understand your comment. Hassan Ali Sheheryar Mubarak. Pakistan will also provide dossiers about India's open role in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Yes. Now the question is how persuasive these documents will be, because the Indian dossier probably will lead with what happened with Kasab and the attacks in Mumbai. And for anybody who's reading that dossier, the report will become very obvious. It is much more difficult to explain, connect India to the Balochistan, because there are no training camps in India, there are no terrorist groups in India, there is no Hafez al-Assad moving around in India from Balochistan. So whatever connection there is, if there is any, will be very weak. Oh, there is a Delawarean. Uh, Abhijit Shinde Sahab, thank you very much. You are a member. I appreciate your membership of Khanversations. What could be India's argument for not honoring IWT as it was international treaty mediated? I guess by, well, it was not mediated by UN or the World Bank. The World Bank is a third party there because all the projects on the Indus water, various rivers were funded. So India is not honoring IWT. What has happened is that India has two projects. Uh, One is Ganga something, Akash Ganga or something like that. And there's another called Rattle. So there are two projects that India is trying to go ahead and build, and Pakistan has been blocking it and delaying it, and so increasing the budget. So India was already frustrated with the IWT, and you can't force a country to remain in a treaty that does not serve its interests. So by if you go and Google 2003 September, October, November, not even 2024, 2023, you will find that India was already thinking of leaving the Indus Water Treaty. So I think there are going to be no international sanctions or anything if India simply abandons the Indus Water Treaty. Blocking water to Pakistan is a different issue because this China might retaliate on the Brahmaputra. It is already better prepared to block water to India than India is at the moment. India will take another 10, 15 years to effectively block water to Pakistan. But what India can do is start working on those two projects and finish them. They will not have a negative impact on Pakistan, but they will have a positive impact on India. And if India makes that point, see, the problem with Modi's government is that it bullshits at home a lot, saying 56 inch ka sina hai and this and that. What rubbish. Arnold Schwarzenegger was 57 inches when he became Mr. Universe. So Modi would not have finished second in that competition. But anyway, so when India wants to act tough at home, that's why it is talking about, oh, we are going to do this, we are going to do that. But if they go to the international community and say that Pakistan is hindering our economic development and progress, I don't think the World Bank will hold it against India at all. Naveed Akhtar, Hassan Ali. So what has happened here? Uh, Azad, Kishan Ganga Hydro. Yes, Azad, thank you very much. One is Kishan Ganga and the other one is Rattle. Those are the two projects that I'll be delaying. Nishan Chowdhury, sir, I'm from Delaware. Wanted to catch up if possible. Well, let me know. Uh, uh, Come to UD and we can have, before the university shuts down, there's a Starbucks in Smith Hall uh, on Amstel Avenue. We can have uh, chai latte and chat. We can have latte and chat. So just email me, contact me, askprofkhan at gmail.com. Ask Prof Khan. Ask Prof Khan at gmail.com, and we can then connect. A lot of people uh, who are in Delaware who watch this uh, visit me. Uh, any other questions or comments? Uh, Nick Sodi, yes, sir. Uh, I think it's a big development, no doubt about it. Shahid Khan, what will? Uh, I mean, I don't know how you're connecting Shahid to what is happening in the West, but it is always important to. I mean, this delegation, like I said, will have a huge impact on countries which don't have very big ministries. Even India doesn't have, even though India has about 1,000 diplomats, India is short of diplomats. It needs more diplomats than it has in its Ministry of External Affairs. So, so other smaller countries, even though they may be slightly richer, like Malaysia and Indonesia, they may not have enough people who are experts on South Asia. So it is important for India to go and educate them. And so who knows, their position would be very sympathetic, especially if India wants to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It has to explain to the rest of the world as to how it is using force. And especially since Narendra Modi made a lot of noise about saying this is not an era of war. He actually brought it up in his speech also. But India did start a war. Uh, and so India needs to explain itself to the international community, I think, and they realize that. What else? All right. Looks like we have run out of questions. So that gives me about 4 or 5 minutes break before I go over to the Indian channel. And for those of you who would like to ask me questions in Hindi, just go to YouTube and type Khanversations 2025. And my Hindi channel or my Indian channel will pop up and you will be able to watch me in Hindi. I will probably start in 7, 8 minutes. So thank you for watching Conversation. If you've not subscribed to the channel already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with other people. I talked about India-US relations extensively on the Lalan Top Show. I will upload that video sometime in the next 2 or 3 hours. So just be alert. It's short. It's just about 14 minutes. My part of the Lalan Top Show. So I will share that with you, in which we talked in detail about all the things that Donald Trump has said about India and what they mean in the past 2 weeks. So anyway, take care. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Bye.